Hey everyone, just coming back here for a few minutes. This has been something that has bothered me for a long time. Canada passed a law called Bill C-7, which allows the euthanization of the poor. You probably haven't heard much about this because the countries don't like to admit that they're euthanizing the poor, but here in Canada they are. I posted a link in the description to the article that I'm going to review here. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. So let's get into this a little bit. Canada talks about the slippery slope about euthanizing people. In 2015, the Supreme Court of Canada reversed 22 years of its own jurisprudence by striking down the country's ban on assisted suicide as unconstitutional, dismissing fears that it ruled and initiate a descent down a slippery slope in the homicide against the vulnerable in anecdotal examples. The next year, Parliament duly enacted legislation allowing euthanasia, but only those who suffer from terminal illness whose natural death was reasonably foreseeable. 5 years later, Bill C-7 comes in, where the reasonable foreseeable requirement was ended. Now, as long as someone's suffering from an illness or disability which cannot be relieved, they can take advantage of what's now known as MAIDs, medical assistance in dying, for free. So what's happening is Canadians are becoming poorer and poorer. Many people I know are literally now scraping by because they just can't make ends meet. It's bad. It's bad out there for a lot of people. I want to give you an example from BC when this was spoken about in Parliament. A man with a neurodegenerative disease testified to Parliament that nurses and a medical ethicist at a hospital tried to coerce him into killing himself by threatening to bankrupt him with extra costs, or kicking him out of the hospital, or by withholding water for 20 days. This is at a hospital here in Canada. They wanted the man to kill himself. The doctors and nurses wanted him to kill himself. This is the healthcare system I pay 25% of my taxes towards, and I pay a lot of taxes. A woman in Ontario was forced on euthanasia because her housing benefits did not allow her to get better housing, which didn't aggravate her crippling allergies. Another disabled woman applied to die because she simply could not afford to keep on living. That's pretty fucking heavy stuff. I've been poor, and poor is not fun. Anybody who's been poor can tell you it's not easy to get out of poverty. And now, if you're poor, you can ask your doctor to kill you. Another lady sought euthanasia because COVID-related debt left her unable to pay for treatment, which kept her chronic pain bearable. Under the present government, disabled Canadians got $600 in extra financial assistance with the COVID relief. University students got $5,000. Another man whose family arrived at the home he was living in, a community care home, 35 years old, disabled man. The family found urine on the floor, spots where there was feces on the floor, spots where your feet were just sticking, like you stood at his bedside and you went to talk and walk away and your foot literally stuck. And according to the Canadian federal government, the assisted suicide law is about prioritizing the individual autonomy of Canadians. One may wonder how much autonomy a disabled man lying in his own filth had in weighing death over life. This is terrible. Even before Bill C-7 entered into force, the country's parliamentary budget officer published a report about the cost savings that it would create where the old maid regime saved 86.9 million per year, the net reduction, to stare all words of the report, Bill C7 would create additional net savings of $62 million per year. You don't hear about this in the Canadian media, do you? I'm going to post some links to this. This is an article written by, I'm going to butcher this name. Yang Yi Zhu is a Canadian senior research fellow at Policy Exchange Judicial Power Project and a researcher at Nuffield College, Oxford. So it's written by an Oxford guy. Probably knows what he's talking about. And of course, the sad part is that they're opening up a new group of people to be able to ask for euthanization. And that's the mentally ill. That's the mentally ill. And also, they're also talking about mature minors. Well, now, these are the people politicians sleep with. Mature minors. Remember Justin Trudeau, 29 years old, banging a 15-year-old girl? Remember hearing that? No? You should Google it. Mature minors. That fucking kills me. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't believe we should be euthanizing the poor. I will post a couple of links to different articles about this. It's pretty fucking horrific. Anyway, you folks have a great day.